squad members, I can't act cool. Hey young, it's your beat. Nothing lasts forever, I don't got tattoos. I lost squad members, I can't act cool. I like my bitches short and thick and they ain't gotta act rude. She won't treat me like I'm the rest, cause I ain't that dude. I seen something young as a child that changed my thoughts for them. Try to do right, I'm on their ass and I won't fucking let them. Hit from the side, bitch, don't be lazy, lift your fucking leg up. To all my niggas going through a struggle, keep your fucking head up. Anything you going through, I'm a witness, it won't last forever. Just stay down and hold your side, don't change up like the weather. If he around me, then he got a ruler, but he ain't trying to measure. I got it in here, me some weed to get my thoughts together. Hard in the summer, but my heart cold, so I got a rocket sweater. We came in this roll alone, so we ain't gon' leave out together. I know I'm blessed, I know my worth, so I can never settle. You can't show yourself before you only time can tell you. Okay, up your one time to fuck up, then you can't go here. Whoa, dear, I got too many stuff to bring a pole here. No deal, I won't set my soul ain't high and go here. I won't school and stay loyal to my niggas and my bitch stick to the cold here. Just a new 40 on my side, the bitch to blow here. Just a different dope inside the gun, we getting lows in. Smoking on some dope from cause the country got a joke in. Treat the bitch like a receiver, put the bitch emotion. I'm drinking on some shit that change the mood, we call it potion. Can't even hide the 30 in the clip, it be poking. And I bought them beans, we got some smooth and get it going. White girl playing with her no Lindsay Lohan. My little cousin slipped up and lost a baby, she was 16. Ain't doing shit for free, I want 200 for a 16. Glock with a dick and 30 clip with a red beam. She make it hard for me cause all that nigga sold a big dream. Don't lose no thug behind no shit you saying that you ain't me. All my niggas slide, you know what's up, bitch, you can't play me. I see the picture clear, my life a movie like it's HD. I'm a 50K screens and I ain't got no post on say cheese. Light a little whipping when I up it, better say cheese. This life taught me some lessons for the school on a degree. I'm just trying to take care of my people, how you hate me. When I got caught with that elite, the shit was crazy. Bitch, the trap baby shit don't do that.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I want to thank you guys for joining us for episode number 46 of the Get Hooked podcast. As always, week to week, this is your boy Hook.
Hey, I am here and rolling. This is Crystal.
Jesus. All right. So, before we get into today's subject, I did really want to bring attention to something. So roughly about a week ago, the Get Hook family suffered a tremendous loss. Shane Brown, he appeared on one of our episodes back in February. He tragically lost his life last week due to an auto accident. And at this time, I'd like you guys to please extend your prayers and to his family and friends. Phenomenal guy, really good dude, real down to earth guy. Just going too soon. And Crystal, if you wanna talk about that a little bit, because I actually met Shane through you. You introduced me to him, so I know you've known him for quite some time. So if you wanted to touch on that, please go ahead.
This is one that's tough for a lot of people, but I will say this: if you ever have met a person that will make everyone that they come across feel welcome, then you will know what it is to experience Shane. Shane had a spirit that no matter who you were or where you were, if you met him, you felt like a friend, you felt like family, you felt welcome. The amount of people that we watched turn out for him over the weekend was amazing. I mean, that's a fourth of the people that he actually knew. So if any of us take away anything from the time that this man had on this earth, it is what you do during the time that God has you here and the lives that you touch. And the amazing way that he touched so many people is just overwhelmingly awesome. So please, if you got a moment, if you know who he is, God knows we lifting all of you up in prayer right now, especially his family, his children, and those who are right now having a tough time processing this. But if you don't take anything away from this, anyone who comes across you, please always make them feel loved, make them feel welcome, make them feel like, they matter, because that was one thing that you don't see nothing else that he did. And it was impactful for so many people.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. It's kind of hard to go on after that. But what I will say is, life comes at you quick, and it's best that if you have friends or family or loved ones that you rock with, go ahead and give them the flowers now, because once that casket closes and they close their eyes, there's no more room for shoulda, woulda, couldas. I wish I would have done this. So give your people the flowers now, man. So again, Shane, didn't know you long. Really respected you, and rest in paradise, King. All right, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get things started after that, man. So today's topic, we're going to be discussing what makes someone marriage material. And we have some guests here who have some experience in that area. I'm assuming, and I'm going to go ahead and give them an opportunity to to introduce themselves. So, Jonathan, we're going to go ahead and start with you.
Well, I don't have experience. I'm still waiting for a good old, wholesome, healthy relationship. But I have a lot of experience. I've seen a lot of it. Welcome to my world. I am not your average preacher's kid. And remember, you can catch holy hands.
And that's why you ain't got no healthy relationship.
All right, Rod, what you got?
Oh, okay. Yeah, my name is Rod Palmer. I'm an author of woke fiction. I got 6 now. I'm coming up on about 20 years of marriage.
Oh, wow.
20 good years of marriage. So I think we're on 19 tomorrow. Is our 19th anniversary.
You the goat tonight, brother.
I know, right? All right, Ebo.
I'm Ebony Gerald. Coming up on 7 years of marriage in October. We've been together for almost 12 years, though. So that's my claim to fame.
Forever, ever?
Forever, ever.
Right.
Forever never seems that long until you're grown.
Listen.
We're going to go ahead and get this thing started, man. So for the viewers, for the audience, make sure you guys react. Make sure you share. Make sure you comment. And also, you make sure you subscribe to the various channels that we have available. So let's go ahead and get started, man. So I'm gonna I want to start out with a very basic question, because I do think we need to establish some context. So for you guys individually, and please feel free to go in any order you wish, what exactly does marriage material mean?
Ooh, Escape said it. Do you want to? Marriage material. Do you want to? Because many people get married for many different reasons. There are some people who get married because they want to. There are some people who got married due to outside influence and pressure. There are some that got married because they felt obligated to, because they've conceived children with people. There are some people who got married for show. Their marriage has even though it's supposed to be a sacred bond between two people and an oath that you take before God that says, I vow to XYZ till death do us part. It's not always what happens. That sacred bond has different things. There's outside influences, there's structure. So one lesson that being married taught me, if I don't take anything from that experience, is, do you want to? I need you to want me, I want you, and we want this. Because if we don't want it, it ain't gonna get to 20 years,
19 tomorrow. Again, I've only seen them. I've seen my mother and fathers and my aunts and things. I'm gonna answer this from my mom's perspective. She met my dad at 74, got engaged in 79, got married in 79. But I feel like back in that day, it was like, because my mom, she was pushing. She was like 30, because she had me till she was 34. And back in the 70s, man, that's a long time. Short version, communication. Like sometimes I want to go to Chipotle with somebody. I'm gonna go to Five Below with somebody.
You
But
want to
you're
say with somebody?
I
With
wanna feel good
somebody who
with somebody who loves me. I think it's really you gotta wanna you have to like Chris said, you gotta want it because some people say it's just a piece of paper. But to me, as somebody who would love to have that Hakuna Matata, like I think it's way more than a piece of paper. But
yeah.
like again, I ain't never walked down that aisle. I ain't never jumped no broom. So I'm. This is hearsay.
Yeah, I tell you, yeah, you definitely got to want it. Now, definitely going into marriage, your reason might be one thing, but that reason is going to change over time as you grow, and the other person grows. But that commitment, when you're both growing, you might not grow the same. You might not go in the same direction, but that commitment is what's going to bring you both back to the middle. So, someone who is ready to commit is the person who's perfect marriage material because you can have a whole lot of things that don't quite match between the couple, but as long as you match when it comes to that commitment, not the commitment just to stay together, but the commitment to be happy and help each other be happy, you're going to get over a whole lot of humps with that.
I think when I hear the phrase marriage material, now that I'm older, looking back on it from when I was, younger, it's a lot of expectations tied to that phrase marriage material. And I think having those expectations tied to that phrase, you really do have a false perception of what marriage is. You have a false perception of what your expectations are for your partner too. And a lot of people get into marriage because they have this idea of what marriage material is, and their whole world is rocked once you sign that paperwork and once you shift from a dating perspective to actually trying to figure out what your married life is with your partner. It totally throws people off, and they're like, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for.
Mhm.
TD
I
Jakes has
think
a
that's
Can I?
huge.
May I
TD
piggyback
Jakes
off
has
that?
a YouTube video. If anybody ever gets to watch it, it's called Model Homes. Model homes hit like a ton of bricks because one thing he said that if whether you're married, whether you want to get married, anything, he said all of us have an idea of what we want our marriage to look like. Like if you go into a model home, you have an idea, oh, I like this. I want this in my house. But most of us we have a role. I got a role of a husband that I grew up with since I was a kid of what I wanted him to be like. I met a man who I gave him a role to play and he never had the script. You don't know what you're supposed to do. You don't know what you're supposed to say. But in my head, I got this vision. And you in here got to play this vision. And then we get frustrated when you're not acting like the script that I had in my head. Many of us are marrying people that are supposed to fit a vision we have. And we're not marrying people for who the people are. And that's one of the toughest things is that you can have in your idea, I want him to be tall, I want him to be dark, I want him to be handsome. Oh, he got to be rich. Oh, and then you get married, you be like, listen, so about that, because I think there was some other stuff I left off that list, Lord. And then you start rewriting it, and you be like, and then you start changing. But that's because you had a vision in your head, and that person was not privy to that information prior to. So they come in trying to meet expectations. They never got a list to even know. They don't know the job description. They just in there working.
And I also feel that in my mom's perspective, because my dad was a preacher, but like me and my mom had a conversation for Mother's Day. We actually had I was sitting on the grass. We was looking at the water. We had like a real heart to heart, grown, not little kid, mama. But I was like, my father was love you. It is what it is. He was a horrible husband. He was a great father, but all he did, like, I never saw my parents. Hey, boo, how you doing today? How was your day? I ain't see that. I didn't see my mom and dad like hug and kiss. I knew they loved each other, but like when we got to church, we were the family. We were the first family. We got home. It was sometimes we would not even talk on the way to church. And at church, it's this. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
You know, you hitting something,
We
Jonathan,
get
and I don't
we
know if
getting
anybody else
we
had that
getting in the
either.
car. Hold on, we
Image.
get in the car, and again, we get to the house, ain't nobody talking to each other. And my mom like, this is not, is it? This what
Because
I
of
gotta look
image.
forward to? And
Image.
then,
Many of
right,
us
and
saw something
then
that's image related.
and my
What
mom,
looks good to folks.
and we had to have this image, but I was like, there's no communication, there's no PDA, there was nothing. And I was like, mm-mm,
But
that's
you know, a
marriage
lot of us grew
material.
up like that because it was not abnormal for me to meet people growing up that their parents didn't sleep in the same room
They
as
stopped them when
they
I was in
got
high
older.
school.
And it was normal, but it was image. So when
And I
you
didn't
say
even question
marriage
it.
material, who you made a question, Jonathan, that was real good. Who wrote the rubric? Who told us what marriage material was? My grandma, I will never forget this. I was dating somebody, and my grandma said, "Oh, he's a good one. His pants pulled up on his tail. He he went to school," and I was like, "That's the only prerequisite, huh? We
Like,
just
don't get me
gonna let her
wrong,
ride with that. That's it."
Pastor was good. Like, and I feel like he asked my mama 5 times to marry her. And that's how I know Gloria Dean was a good woman, because she was never like, and went on to the next. She was like, you're not who I need you to be right now. So we're gonna work this out. We're gonna work this out. 4 years later, whatever. And I also told my mom, like, you got married in 79, you had a kid in 80. You didn't, like, I see now people wait 7, 8 years or whatever to have a child, which is great and beautiful. But like, Mom, you didn't even get to, you just walked down the aisle and popped out a kid.
Actually, to be honest with you, and Rod and them can count to this, between 79 and 84 is what she waited to have a kid. She actually waited quite some
I'm
time.
I'm number 3. I'm
Oh,
number 3.
ooh.
Sibling was born in 80. Mom had a miscarriage in 81. Then I was like, hey, what's up? Coming on in 84. Hey.
That's how it is, though. You get kids,
But
and
34 old for
unfortunately,
them back
many
in
of
the
us
day.
become parents before we're caught up in being parents instead of spouses. You see that in military families a lot. They don't really get to deal with each other until he's retired, kids are grown, and now it's like, let me introduce myself. I'm a husband of 20 years.
And that's why Gloria
So
said
how long do you
bye in
guys think
2007.
how long do you think it takes to decide if someone is marriage material or not, in terms of dating, in terms of getting to know somebody? Like, when is a good time frame for, in your opinion, where you think it's okay for somebody to say, well, you know what, this may be the person for me?
I honestly
I
think
think you
that
can go ahead.
for me, because I was a single mom dating, everybody was marriage material that I chose to bring into my world. And then once they come in the world, they look good on paper. I had this happen quite a bit. They look really good on paper, like college
Plenty of
educated.
fish.
Check. He's got a job, 401k, check, check, check. Then you bring them into your world, and then you find out, okay, I mean, he's checking off, and he's marriage material. But then you open the closet, and there are all the skeletons in the closet.
Them
He's
demons saying, hey girl, hey.
yeah, they're waving at you. He doesn't. You believe in monogamy. He's not quite there with monogamy. So it's all those things. But I honestly think that whenever I was out there dating, everybody that I took a serious interest, they had everything. They checked off. It's just whenever you really start talking to people, you communicate, you find out that people really, how the old people say, you're not evenly yoked with them.
Equally yoked,
That's
right?
true.
Yeah.
Rod,
Yeah.
you over there got that disgruntled look. Break that thing down.
Huh?
You got that disgruntled look right now.
One thing that would tell you about, in my opinion, that would tell you whether someone is married material. If you hear them start talking about their past relationships, how they ended, how much responsibility they take upon themselves, or was it all the other person? Because that's the person. If you marry that person, they're gonna do the same thing. They're gonna put all the blame on you. They're never wrong. They always right. You always wrong. And that's the kind of marriage we have. So that to me is a big indicator. I think you had asked the time frame. I think about it with 3 months or something like that. Because first they're gonna, I mean, not now you can tell if they're married material, not if you should marry them, but if they married material.
You want to put that addendum in there, that
Correct.
Right.
asterisk.
However,
Correct.
boss.
I think in that time frame, you can mark off some of the big boxes, whether they're a hoe or not, whether they have a pretty realistic outlook on life. You don't see what their house look like. You don't probably came over and see how they keep their house. And if it's suddenly clean, you can smell the bleach. You know they just did it. You know what I'm saying? So you can pick up on a lot of little cues. And I think 3 months you can usually decide with a good conscience to walk away from something, you know.
I could see in 90 days, like a probationary period, you can be like, all right,
I think it's
we gonna keep this rolling. You
yeah.
really learn them. Oh dear God, when you and I'm not. Don't get me wrong, because I will never live with. I'm not a fan of living with. I did it. I'm not gonna live with people before I get married to them. Surprise me when I can't go nowhere. Because when you live with them, you be like, oh God. I mean, do you do that like all the time? You learn some stuff you didn't know.
Is that how you really choose?
What's wrong with you? But you do within the beginning, you can kind of say, I can see myself with you long term, and then over time people really do change. And I say that because I would say, one of the comments on the bottom said, let the Lord give you a sign. I'm gonna tell y'all
That
something.
was
Free game. If a woman really wants a man, free game. Everything that man do, the Lord just gave us a sign. Oh my God, he opened the door. It's him. It's not. It's like everybody opened the door. He called me beautiful this morning. I know it's him. It's not. It's like 15 good morning beautiful DMs.
Yes,
It's
you're
so
in the
many things. We'll
rotation.
take everything as a sign. There are 2 times you can't tell a woman nothing: when she love them and when she got money, because we ain't listening to nobody. Free game. But when you live with someone and you get their daily habits, again, don't shack. Make sure you got that contract that can't go nowhere. So you got to fix it. Because when you live with them, you're going to use their 90-day return policy. Because you are going to learn who they really are. The stuff that you can't hide, the stuff that's behind the phone, the moods, the attitudes. It's different. So you know them, but you gotta really love them. You gotta learn to love them when you marry them. Because you gotta be like, I love you, and it's because I love you that the fact that I keep falling in the toilet in the morning is okay. It's
You're
because
not
I
gonna
love
code
you that
switch.
the TV can be on and I just put a sleep timer on. But over the years, you'll still be getting to know a person because people evolve all the time.
I still
Yeah.
love that meme that said we were watching our parents grow up while we were growing up. And like looking back at that, I'm just like, they were really barely married, raising us at the same time.
Yeah. Like me, I grew up in a household of domestic violence. My father used to abuse the farm. But they used to argue every single day. They didn't argue enough for their lifetime and for mine. So I really don't like to argue. The big thing for me was finding someone who could have a conversation. A lot of times we get mad, we get triggered, and we want to lash out. The lashing out, I can't do it. I've seen it. Yeah. But I
Goldie is
could
the
not
thermostat
take
for me too.
my parents' relationship style. I had to look at other people. I had to look at my coaches when I was playing sports and look at other people's relationships to get my relationship cues, but I could not get it from my parents.
It is hard when you have to go back and look at other mentors. It was a struggle to see healthy relationships growing up. I saw a lot of independent women, a lot of F it, I'll do it. And you get to see that a lot, and you get to see women who handle things on their own. I always say every one of us has our little girl, little boy inside of us. Every man has his feminine side or masculine side. Every girl has both of her sides. When you watch independent women all your life, you become queen F it, I'll do it. I did not. I told my grandmother, "You prepared me for everything in life but relationships," because I did not realize how demasculating "F it, I'll do it" can be in a relationship. That shit is damaging. And it was that, oh, can you put this together for me? One Mississippi, two Mississippi, fuck it, I'll do it. See, bad. Because at this point, I take it from you and I keep taking it. And then when I come to you and tell you what you're not doing and what you don't do and all these different things, that I'm beating you. And then I go back and when you do it, I take it and I take it. And I had to realize, the problem, could some of that lie within me? So it's some stuff where I was like, well, am I marriage material? Like I had to sit back after I got out of my last situation and was like, well, let me check me for a minute, because there are things that we grew up with thinking were normal. Like he said, arguing all the time. Yeah, listen, many of us saw people who now tell us, don't argue around them kids. Don't do this around them kids. Nigga, you had WWE when I was a kid.
Baby, listen.
Right.
Go to your room while we talk. Y'all ain't talking. Y'all arguing. I hear it.
Right. We used to hear stuff like, get your black ass up and let's be to church on time. Aren't we going to see Jesus? Now, that's not in. You can't talk to me like, but you got a lot of do as I say, not as I do. But the problem is, I don't care how many times you are saying, I'm not going to be like my parents. I don't care how many times you say, I'm not going to be like these people. When you get into it, what's embedded in you is what you do. So sometimes not only about, is this person marriage material, are you marriage material? Because some of us, the F boys, and we don't even know it. Check yourself, because we trigger people. We're triggered, and we can trigger people. And I don't think we shine the light as bright on us as we do on others. But some of us come from some situation that brings some straight habits. Listen, come up in this house thinking you know HNIC if you want to. I had to pray on that.
The only thing I'm gonna say about that is I am pro shacking, so I think you do need to live with people before you get married. Because once you get married, you want to know, like, if somebody choose a certain way, or like Shalana put up a comment, and she was like, I can't marry you if you sleep with a fan on. I gotta have a fan to go to sleep.
That's a pretty wreck. It's right here.
So I think it may seem small, it may seem trivial, but I think that those little small things, a lot of marriages, they don't break up over anything major. It can be just the smallest thing that builds and festers over time.
They do add
so
up.
one thing I did want to touch on. So, do your friends and family have to like the person that you're going to marry?
Hell no.
I'm gonna be quiet because I'm in a certain situation right now, and I don't know if certain people are watching, so I'm not answering this question.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to say this, and I mean this, and I truly mean this. They don't have to like them. They don't, because that's who you're going to live with. But at the end of the day, I could not imagine, because you're not just committing yourself to your husband. You're not committing yourself to the spouse. You're committing yourself to whatever situation your partner has going on, and that includes the family. I couldn't imagine committing myself to my mother-in-law and she not like me. I couldn't imagine.
That's hard.
That's tough. I couldn't imagine my husband committing himself to me and my mama being, Big G, because she is the big OG, and she not loving him like he's an additional child. He's a bonus child. I couldn't imagine it. So I'm going to tell you that no, they don't have to like them. But at the end of the day, you're not just marrying the person that, you signed on the dotted line. You're bringing together a whole bunch of stuff. And I don't think people take that into consideration either.
It's a two-way street.
Break or make a marriage.
It can. I agree. It's tough when the people that he values don't like you.
That's hard.
And it's tough when the people that you value don't like him, because that's y'all's amen corner. So if your amen corner don't back you, then the influences kick in. The other side is there may be someone that your family absolutely adores and you don't like them. And then that does happen. Because it happens. You're in a relationship and you're like, this shit ain't for me. And they're like, but he's great and you make terrible decisions. And then you in there and you feel like you gotta do it because maybe something's wrong with you. Or when you grow apart, nobody wants you to go apart because they're like, well, I love this and I love that. I get it. But when we leaving, okay, we gotta let it go. It's not, it doesn't fit anymore. And so it's a balance. I don't need y'all to like and love and think it's all great. Respect my situation. Love us as individuals, but we ain't got to run around here all playing cards and being kumbaya all the time either. I mean, it's a balanced situation because sometimes your people can't let go when you can.
We never had to I'm not. No one ever even said this to me, but I'm not sure that my wife would be well received by myself, by the family. She's just a different kind of woman. You know what I'm saying? Highly educated, at the top of her field for what she does, and she don't beat around the bush a lot. She's direct. She's never mean. She just says it on her mind. That's different from the neighborhood I grew up in, how the room world that I grew up. And I told her, like, look, I mean, you know, I always got her back. I mean, ain't nobody gonna disrespect her or nothing like that. But I just need for when we have to cook out for you to cook to my plate. That's about it. Yeah, just.
So I'm curious for all the men on the panel, just because I'm, and Ebony, don't worry, because we're gonna answer our rebuttal too. But for y'all, growing
Well, I'll
up,
give rebuttals.
you gonna give rebuttal too.
You know,
What were y'all taught is the ideal spouse?
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't. Like, me and my mom had this conversation. Like, we didn't have a sex talk, but I was like, well, Gloria, I did not show any inclination that I was into female. So why would you have the sex talk with me? Like, I never saw. We never talked about any of that. So we never had a discussion like your boyfriend or the dude you gonna date needs to be like this. Like, that would have been completely what? We just didn't. I don't know. I don't.
Well,
We didn't have that conversation.
I hear a lot of brothers. They'll go to describe who the perfect spouse would be, and
gonna get a list.
They're describing a servant who is also bad, like nice hair, got the nails done, she looks fine, but yet she serves him, and she's intelligent and all that. I'm like, that don't really even. That's unrealistic because number one, you're not giving that to her. So why are you expecting that? I mean, they didn't really expect it. They think that's the perfect thing. I'm like, no. If she's intelligent, she's gonna have an opinion. And if she's intelligent, she's gonna challenge you sometimes. She's gonna challenge your way of thinking so that we can compromise and think something together. But for her to just be that capable, but yet just to sit back and let you be a man and serve you is an unrealistic expectation.
Cook, what were you told? Oh, I'm sorry, John. What were you told?
I'm answering questions now. Is that what I'm doing?
You answer. You and I need you to remember that the missus is in the house.
Hey, I ain't know. I thought I was old, so I didn't know. Nah, I'm playing.
David, but you answer that question.
In all honesty, I wasn't taught anything, to be honest with you. The only thing that we emphasized was get somebody who treats you nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't one of these guys who was raised, say, you know, get your wife that cooks, get your wife that cleans and irons your clothes. I learned to do all this stuff myself. So I wasn't, you know, it was never any of that. Honestly, I think the only other thing is, you know, it's because back in my day, whenever we brought anybody around a family, we were only concerned with one thing, and that was how she looked. And we wanted it was arm candy is pretty much it. We wanted to walk with somebody like, man, you see who got a bad one, you know what I'm saying? So I see you nephew, right? But we weren't. It's not looking back on it. We had to learn for ourselves, to be honest with you. My experience, like the stuff I've experienced over time, it shaped me into who I'm now going to marry. But it took 44 years to get there. But you know, it's one of those. Shut up! It's one of those things where you know we really
not
weren't
nice, Crystal.
Right. We really weren't taught anything regarding like relationships. We really weren't.
Indirectly, I knew what I wanted, and because I knew I did not want to argue. I know I needed somebody who was very an effective communicator. I knew I need somebody to deal with Delilah Dean and Zeke and Jonathan. I need somebody who's gonna sing with me in the car. Like I know those types of things. That's what I had to teach myself because nobody was like, "Hey, J Bug, this what I need. This what you need." Nobody. We had to learn on our own.
Sure.
It's amazing the difference.
But I got
Evan,
here before Hook. I'm only 37.
yeah, Hook's a little older. Ooh.
Hey.
Ev, what were you taught that the ideal husband, like that's hit, he's the one?
He needs to be able to provide. He needs to be able to not just provide, but if you want it, he need to be able to get it. He needs to sit quietly, don't say nothing,
I
and
like Ebony.
that's what I saw. That's what I was taught. He need to be educated.
Yep.
I mean, it was a laundry list of stuff, but being a
It
provider
was a lot of this.
was if he could not provide, and even as I got older, I still carry that. You know what your triggers are. You know what's the bullshit. You know what you need to unlatch from. But that one, because that's all I saw with all the women in my family. The man needs to be a provider.
So we did a lot of times growing up as girls, you hear he needs to be able to provide. Provide is number one. Protect. If you don't feel safe, and so protect meant nothing can happen to you. When you get older, protect mean a whole different beast. But we'll wait. Provide,
Yeah.
protect. He needs to be able to oh God, yep, the three P's. He has to be able
Yes,
to
the three
proclaim.
P's.
He has to be able to be God fearing.
Period.
It's like a list of things you get. So when you get a guy and you've gotten this list of things, you're like, okay, he got a job. Boom, they go providing. Bullshit. Because everybody that got a job can't provide. Remember that, because it's providing is more. When you get older, you realize that providing is more than a financial thing. There's a lot other that this person has to be able to provide, because all of your needs are not just financial needs. When it comes to being able to protect, don't just protect me if somebody come up here and want to jump on me, or somebody breaks into my house. There's a whole lot of me that needs protecting, and I don't even know all the protection I need, but I need you to be able to cover me, sir. And that makes a difference. But they didn't break that part down to us. When they're talking about proclaim and profess and all of these different things that we need as women, your list of what marriage material looks like when you get older does not look like the list of what they told you, because everybody that went to school ain't educated. Whoop.
Correct.
Everybody that go to church ain't God fearing. Bing. There's a whole lot of things you start to learn that's different about people.
Make sure you.
But you know
Because
what? This is the perfect segue into my next question, though. Because when we talk about men, you said the three P's, right? What was that? Provide, proclaim, protect. So, in your individual opinions, do you think that there's a bigger checklist than women have to actually fill out? So, apparently, men, all we got to do is those three things. But with women, do you think your list is a lot longer?
that was a part of the list. It's like 20 things on there. Don't just do those three and think you're gonna win.
I think one of my girlfriends, well, a couple of my girlfriends, interestingly enough, I think I'm the only one that's married. Okay, anyway, so we talk when we talk all the time. The one thing that I always say to them is what we have for our list of wants that check off. We expect men to have the same list of things, and the lists are totally different, and the
Totally
expectations are
Totally
different.
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 And that's where my personal opinion, I see women getting jacked up and just getting stuck. Like, you're educated, you have a job, you got this, you got that, and in turn, you expect a man to be looking for the same exact thing in you that you're looking in him, and the list does not match up. and you're getting
And that's
stuck.
how we complain too. We complain and go, I don't know why he don't want me. I'm educated. I'm this, I'm that.
Yes.
But we don't look at what the other side of it is. I'm pretty. I'm blah, 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 blah. You can have all of that and still not be it. It don't mean you're not good. Rob, you said it earlier. Just because you're marriage material don't mean I want to marry you. And
Right.
we miss that so bad. Just because he don't want to marry you don't mean you're not marriage material. You just not it for him, because there are other things other than what you think you're supposed to be that should be it. If that's it. I've said it. I watched a friend of mine do it one time. We were all talking and we were like, I want to do something real nice or romantic or something crazy. And she was like, yeah, because you got to do rose petals and put this on the floor and this. And I go, in real life, he don't even want all this shit. Like, you can save the
Correct.
money. Don't
My
even put
husband,
nothing on.
don't do it. My husband's gonna say, he gonna walk in,
Yep,
he gonna
that's
say,
true.
who's cleaning all this shit up? Okay, they don't want he's a
Yeah,
clown. He's not looking for
unnecessary. Yeah,
that.
you need that.
He's looking for a cold
They don't
beer.
think like we do. No, they're
Right.
gonna look at your lips and be like, you got all that glittery, sparkly shit off. Take that down. Listen.
Right. Exactly.
And you be like,
Right.
but you're not paying attention to this outfit.
Okay, got it. Know what
all
not to
of that.
do. Thank you. Taking notes here. Don't
Right.
do.
Like, all 112 of Victoria's Secrets could have easily been replaced with wings, a couple of shots.
Yep,
Correct. Yes.
But I said,
yep.
we have a bad habit of going, you want flowers and you want candles and
Yeah,
you want soft music, and they don't think like us. Ebony, you hit a nail on the head right there. We think y'all think like we do, so we wonder what's wrong. We
We
don't
want to
think
know
like
what's wrong. And there's nothing wrong. You
there
just
it
not
is.
speaking the same love language. And
We don't speak the
it's so
same language.
important to find out what your partner's love language is.
Age
we
and
do.
wisdom,
We just
not
want
age.
to.
Wisdom teaches you that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want a little spontaneity sometimes, as well. You know,
Like the
that
chandelier swinging.
goes a long way.
Stop it.
Huh?
The spontaneity. Wait a minute. You look like the chandelier swinging.
No,
Mimi and the
just
shower
that.
rod. I'm confused.
Just that
Stop it.
sometimes you don't take all the planning and arrangement. You know what I'm saying? It could be,
Oh, random.
standing up. You know, kitchen.
While you're at the door, baby, before you leave. Whoosh. I got it. We get it.
You know
We
what I'm
got it.
saying? Yeah.
So
Since we on this here interstate, just kidding.
Uh-uh.
while we talking about swinging from chandeliers and shit like that, does the number of people that they slept with matter?
Yeah. I say that could be.
That must be a man
But look,
thing. Because by women, we don't even.
when it comes to a guy, right, and you hear that she, you got a big body count or whatever.
Not body
You
count.
know,
Jesus.
with a guy, we have to perform. Performance is not an issue with a woman. You know what I'm saying? He's not
Huh?
looking at the woman like, oh, who's better? That don't even matter. It really don't. It all has the same end result with us. But with a woman,
Oh, wait. I'm
you
confused.
might size yourself up against those guys. You said 30? You know what I'm saying? You size yourself up against 30 dudes.
How many she said?
I
30.
had a girlfriend who said 20.
Oh
20.
my God.
But at the time, we were 21. You know.
Damn.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I'm
We
sorry.
was-
I'm
I
judging,
was-
Lord.
I was at 21 years old and I had a girlfriend who said her body count was at 20. Yeah.
I was in my early 20s when I asked that question to a man, and he was like, I mean, you would be like 26. And I was like, wait a minute. Carry the one. How many people?
That's
There was
That was a
Brenda,
problem for
Letitia,
us.
Linda, Felicia, Dawn, LaShawn.
Inez and Alicia.
And you could, because
The
to
three
us, we're
Kims,
looking
don't
like
forget the three Kims.
about 3 Kims.
The three.
Yeah. My
How
wife
many
didn't like my answer.
women? But y'all are taught that your I guess your brownie points come from how many women you can get a hold of. To real talk, that shit ain't cute to us either. But we, if we wait for a guy that's had lesser people, we minimize our option.
Well,
See, I
I'm
moved
just
back
gonna
to house at
say
16, so I started
in
early.
my community, babe, it's a okay. Yeah, Lord Jesus, we those questions don't come. Okay, God.
Y'all
I,
ask that.
But do people really ask body count? Like,
Some
I
When you're
people,
mean,
when
I
you're
some
in your
haven't
people
been
20s.
do.
well,
dating long. I
some people
haven't
get
dated
off
in a
on
long
having a
time.
high body count, and that's just I don't.
You
I'm
do in your
hey,
20s. Our young people do ask. I don't hear that, and as old as we are, you're too old for that.
right.
Listen,
You
Like
too old for that, right? Okay,
it
okay.
don't
are you
matter.
clean? How many things do you have? Anything?
I
Can you
mean,
cook
Right.
for
There.
kids?
Let's
I
start
mean
there.
that's
Okay.
true, but you don't want to be that nigga that walking with a girl on his arm, and 15 dudes you walk by, they don't be like, hey man,
We'll
you
move
know,
to
Well,
a
what if
different
that's
city.
she done been,
what?
no, listen, she
There you
done been
go.
with all them. Now, am I going to ask? No, because I don't want to know. But like, and I'm speaking
It's gonna be in
from,
the
I
back
come
of
from
your
a small
head.
town. I come from a small hometown, and you know things, right? And I you don't want to be that person that's going to date somebody because we've done it. You know, we've seen
Yep.
women from my hometown who they either engaged or married, or whatever, and everybody looking like um
Good.
everybody done been there. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you do not want to be that dude. So I won't say the body count. Like I'm not going to ask because I don't want to know. But in the
Mhm.
back of our heads, body count matters. It does.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter. We're not having this conversation at 30
Mhm.
something years old.
But
Listen, you're not gonna talk about that at 30 something years
but
old. If
but
you
the
can
Right.
expectation
Right.
is when it comes to men, I think women expect men to have sown their royal oats, so to speak. You expect the man to have slept with several different women. I think that's kind of society's expectations. Not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I think that's the expectation. But when it comes to women, and I'm only speaking from a man's standpoint. It's I'm not going to ask about your past because in my head, I'm the only man you ever been with. And then when it in my head, I don't even want to think about you being with nobody else. But if it comes out that you slept, that's why men have such a hard time going back to a woman after they've cheated because somebody has been in your quote unquote territory in your space, and men are exceptionally territorial.
But you want to put your space
That's
back in mine after you done been around the world and back
uh,
again.
Double
Um,
standard.
I know it is. It's a
the
big double
whole
standard.
thing is
If
changed.
you can't help that homegirl from the neighborhood done been around the block, move to a different city, because
Mm.
there's a lot of people in the whole wide world, but nobody. The jawbone.
You
God
see
damn.
her? Really? She's out of control.
Oh, got that. That
Hey,
was a good one.
listen, you can't,
That
because
nobody
women
in
don't
this
like it
room
either. I
married
don't
a
want to meet you
jawbone.
and say that I'm 30 something years old and you done been with as many people as old as me. That's ridiculous. You don't know women want that.
Yeah.
No.
It's the jawbone for me. That
It
was
was a
funny.
jawbone for
Yeah.
me. I'm sorry.
Jesus, knowingly marry jawbone.
I ain't even limit your name. Call
Golly.
your jawbone.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's
Mm,
crazy.
But,
All
Woo,
right,
God.
so what
mm.
if like is it important that your partner be coachable?
oh, yeah. I,
Absolutely, you've got to be a lifelong learner. Absolutely,
I want
Nobody
to
because
wants
you
touch
like
on earlier, too. You talk about, oh, go ahead, John.
because
My
you
bad.
grow again. I ain't never been down nobody out, but what I see, you grow differently. My mother was growing this way, and she was trying to coach my father. My father was not coachable at all. He was like, "Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am." It and it really troubled me because my mom is a minister as well, and she had finished all. And I told her it should have been my father's greatest joy to ordain my mother right there on the pulpit where you preach at every day. He would not do it, and I was like,
He's too young to preach.
But my aunt, my mother's sister, sat on the pulpit with my father. It was a complete double stand, like whap whap in my mama's face. And my mom, I was the minister of music, and I had to sit and see my mom's face when she wanted to give word down there with my father. But me
Mm.
directing the choir and seeing my mom's face and seeing the hurt in her eyes, like, Because I think my mama had more oil than my daddy in her work. My father
That
was
might have been
not.
why she couldn't get up there, but
We had that conversation in the backyard last night. Because my mama got oil. She will sing you and save you at the same time. But
that's another
it
a
was
list thing that we don't check for. You got to be careful when you're with someone who could potentially be jealous of your potential.
he was,
Correct.
and I was like, to me as a child, like, why would you not want to do that for your other half? But he was not coachable at all. Until after she left, then he was ready to take notes every day.
Okay.
He was J Book. How do I need? Oh, sorry.
Rod, you about to say something about that coachable?
Oh yeah. That's another thing I was going to talk about when we talk about marriage material. You always know what do you have to train them? Because ultimately your happiness is in your hands. You're gonna have to try and train somebody else to do certain things to make you happy. And if there's some things I'm not willing to train somebody on, like how to talk to me. I'm not gonna train you on that. That's something you have to come equipped with me. I can train you on some other things, But
I agree on that one.
That's a big factor right there.
Absolutely.
Like, don't have to train somebody on any poor things. Because that relationship ain't gonna last long enough for you to train them in the first place.
I think people don't pay attention to the part of I used to say in a relationship before, I know you know how to be respectful because I've watched you be respectful to XYZ, like your mama, your aunts, different people. And so women have a tendency of going, well, that's just how he talks. If he don't talk to the mama, the grandmama, the aunts, the people who really matter to him that way, but he talks to you like that, pause, check yourself. Because people watch their words. I don't care if they mad, angry, pissed, whatever. They watch their words with certain people. That when you respect someone and you truly love someone, you can watch your words. And Rod, that's a big one. What people need to watch how they talk to you. There's a respectful way to say everything.
And my wife is a therapist, by the way, so she definitely know how to talk to me.
Oh
She had to, actually she trained me on a lot as far as conflict resolution and stuff, and how to really confront each other and come away without us worse off but better off instead.
Rod, you just said a word that needs to be added to everybody's marriage material list. Damn, the 3 P's are beautiful. Provide and protect, but listen, it's PPC. Provide, protect, and conflict resolution. How do they handle stress? And how do they handle life pressures? How do they handle disagreements? Because that temper tantrum having crap, some people have not gotten that out of them, and some people don't know. I will tell people, you may know such and such as a brother, you may know such and such as a cousin. I know such and such as a man. That man and that woman can push buttons in each other that can't nobody in the world can. All people push the worst, that's your kids. We're gonna talk about that. We ain't talking about kids today. It's the 2 people that are in that relationship together. You got to know how to handle conflict resolution, because that crap will scare you when that one argument goes to the next level and that person flips and you didn't know that they had that flip fool in them.
And we still got a few minutes left, and I didn't have this question on my list, but Sugar and Spice Nails, I think it's a very valid one. So I want to hear everybody's opinion on this. So she wants to know about inquiring about the other's individual credit score and their debt, the credit to debt ratio.
Oh, I'm gonna exit now.
Yeah.
I think before you get married, you need to know what you both are facing, because when I get with you, we become one. And that's a lot when you're buying something, buying a house, buying cars. That's a biggie, because you'll find yourself either handling everything or you guys can't get anything because you're one now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you one thing.
It's a
You don't have
conversation
to
that
know
needs to be had for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't think you need to know the exact credit score, but people who got bad credit scores like to say fuck it a lot. You know, once they prove with something, they'll say fucking and walk away. You know, so people like that often has got some bad debt out there. And if they are a person who is disciplined, and I mean, a lot of things I've done basically because I told somebody to do it. My heart is no longer in it. But because I've made a promise to somebody, I'm helping them move whatever my word is. If they're a person of their word, chances are they're going to have a credit score because they keep commitments.
I am okay with like, would I ever marry someone with bad credit? Sure. Would I marry someone who has situations? Yes. Here's where I won't. And Ebony made this comment earlier. He need to do it. So I don't care where you are if I know it's in you to fix it. Because a real hustler knows you can fix a credit situation in about 12 months, easy, if you put your head in the game. A real hustler knows that, listen, don't worry about what I got to do. I'm going to make it happen. I can deal with that more than I can, fuck it. Or, I don't know. Or, can you do this for me? Well, my mama used to. Listen, can you handle it? If you can fix it, I'm not looking for perfection. I am looking for someone who has a willingness to work on it together. Can we fix this? Can we do this? Can we get this? I don't care where you at, as long as you're willing to work to make it better. I'm not looking for somebody to come through and tell me, unless you got something that's unfixable. I can't fix some of this other stuff. If you got a tendency to tear up shit in my house, I can't fix that. It's your mama problem. But if you got a credit situation, I can fix that, because you and I can talk through this. I can, hey, try this, try that. Like you said, that's life's teachable moments. But be willing to fix that stuff. Don't get there and get stuck. And then when I come to you about it, you're mad, you got an attitude, you offended. Now we arguing because you don't know conflict resolution. That's a problem.
That's a real problem. You can fix a credit score, you can fix a door, you cannot fix someone's will to want to and drive. You cannot fix that. And I think that's so much more important than the actual piece of paper with the information on it. Because a lot of times, and just speaking from someone that was raised in the 80s, credit scores and all this other stuff, nobody was talking about that when we were growing up. That's stuff that we learned as adults. You get in college and you sign on this dotted line for this loan, and you're like, okay, let me take out this loan. So those are things that we had to walk into and actually learn. But fixing someone's will, you cannot fix that at all.
I can't make you want to do better, but I can help you get there. If you got the will to work.
Impulse control too. If
For
somebody
me,
has impulse control and they see something and gotta get it, they might get credit.
I feel judged right now.
Well, your impulsive ass, you already said why you ain't been there.
I did buy a hammock that goes into your toe hit so I can sit by the water, but that was like an early birthday present. But for me, I love that the topic of this, are you marriage material? I know I am, but I at the moment I know that God is protecting me and protecting whoever. I'm trying. Ain't nobody checking for me. I'm not checking for nobody. But I know I'm marriage material, but right now I know if something pop off. So say me and Crystal get kicking it off. If something pop off, I'm not going to be financially sound to help Crystal. I can help myself, but if we in this in that bond, that marriage, I can't help you. And I just paid my car off, and this was my first car that I've ever paid. I'm looking at the title, and I'm so proud of myself. I'm scared to open it because I wanted to be with my mom to open it, but I forgot to take it home for Mother's Day. But we weren't taught. We were taught sign that line because you need this money to go to school. You need this money for the books. My first credit card was Express. Maxed it out in 2 weekends.
Wow.
And I said, fuck it.
Yeah.
I got close.
And the thing is, I think is for me, I think it's two key points. The first thing is when we talk about being coachable, I know and I can only speak for me personally, I'm extremely coachable because I want to learn because I know that I don't know everything. So I'm okay with being taught. For me, it's all about delivery, though. It's how you convey that information to me.
Yeah.
If you're courteous and I can tell that you genuinely want me to succeed, I'm all for it. But if you're like just in my face and down my throat, like I don't react well to that, and I'm going to completely shut down. So that's the first thing. The second thing is marriage material, right? I think that everybody on this panel, all of us participating in this, I think we're all marriage material. I know for a fact that I'm marriage material. However, 10 years ago, I wasn't ready for marriage. Now I am. So you can be marriage material, but the question is, are you ready for marriage? Because you can check the list and you can connect all the dots and you can be on paper that seemingly perfect person. But if it's not in you, if you haven't gotten whatever it is out of your system, and if you don't want to commit or whatever, then all those other checks and balances you got, it goes down the drain, because I mean you're still gonna do your mate a disservice in that regard.
I
But
think
before we
that's
head
the
out,
problem
guys,
too, Hook.
yeah, go ahead.
You hit a big point, Hook, and I wish you zone in, like horn in on that very heavy. A lot of people out there are terrified of marriage. I would rather date until I die, because all these horror stories of marriage. But you just touched in on it. If Hook, like you said, I'm just using an example. If he'd have got married 10 years ago, then he would have had one of those horror stories of why marriage was XYZ, blah, blah, blah. But if you wait to do it when you're in a different space, you know, it makes a difference. First time may not be great. Second time might. You just don't know. Life seasons put you ready for different things. I couldn't have been the CEO of a company when I was 21 years old. Mentally, I wasn't ready for that. But what I can do now in my 30s, I could run a world. It's different maturity levels, different seasons, different reasons bring you to different spaces. And I do not think that we give ourselves enough credit for that. I say that to say, don't judge your ability to have a successful marriage based off the horror stories that you heard. Because for as many people who have had bad marriages, there are several people who have had great unions as well. If you get together with the right person at the right time, I don't care what they have been, you're going to get a different situation. There are plenty of people who had bad relationships 10 years ago that are doing very well in relationships 10 years later. So, Hook, you hit a big point. It is when you meet somebody in that season that they're ready that makes a massive difference.
Absolutely. And again, guys, this has been a like great dialogue. But before we head out, I want to hear from each of you individually. What are some takeaways that you want to leave with the viewers and the listeners? So, Jonathan, we can go ahead and start with you.
I gotta take notes first, and I go off on tangents. Okay, and I already started. Takeaway: please be coachable. It's very important that in the conflict resolution, it squashes things. Being able to communicate with one another, love one another. Please just be kind and listen. You got to listen. There was a meme that said, "Let me know when I got to shut up." Look, there was a meme that said, "You can't hear what God's trying to say because you already said what you want Him to say." Just listen. Listen to your partner. Listen to what the universe is telling you to be a better person, so you can be a great partner and a great spouse. And thank you. Podcast every Wednesday. Not Your Average Preacher's Kid on all platforms. Have a great day.
He said,
All right,
sure, sir.
all right, Rod.
All right. And I say, my takeaway is it's good to hear these different perspectives. And a lot of people got a lot in their head that is one way. And sometimes we're saying the same thing in different ways. But I would say my biggest takeaway about marriage material is hearing the women's perspective about which I already am this, but just hearing them about to protect the don't put me up the words to be the y'all know what I'm talking about. But it's good to hear that from because me and my wife, we so good we don't have to talk about it, right? It's there. So only other times I hear people talking about it is some of these videos that you see on Facebook and on Instagram and other stuff. But people are just lately just talking real toxic about relationships. So it's good to hear some people talk real healthy about relationships. And yeah, that would be my takeaway.
All right, Cool. Ebo, what you got?
I think it's really important, especially if there's anyone married, like listening. Marriages go through ebbs and flows. You have your high season, and Lord knows you're gonna have your reaping season. And
Well,
it's so important because this is something that no one really talks about. It's so important for you to remember your commitment. Remember why you chose to be committed to the person, because it's gonna be some times where you're not even gonna, do I really like this person? They leave the toilet seat up when they flush the toilet. I didn't sign up for this. So you just really gotta just keep it in perspective, and make sure you keep your petty at an all-time low, because that's important too in a marriage.
Amen.
Mm.
But you don't
Absolutely.
fall in love with them just once, though. That's the beautiful thing.
Right. Yeah.
That is a beautiful thing. Yes, absolutely.
I think that's the part
Oh,
about
I
marriage.
want it. I want it. I want
He's
it.
so silly. I think that's the part about marriage, Rod, that people don't talk about. They talk about the Derrick Jacksons, and they talk about the bad. They talk about the toxic. They talk about the hate. They talk about the evil. You see, speaking of Derrick Jackson, you saw he did that girl and put on there, got her hair done this time. That nigga, they're funny. Listen, he took that bonnet off. I said, look at him. Okay, that bonnet still bothers me, but listen. I think that people don't talk about the fact that there are some good parts of marriage. Like when you go through a rough season and you come out together and you like, baby, we made it. Or when you realize that you got a partner, like you got a homie, you got somebody you fall in love with over and over again. I have seen some beautiful life stories in marriages. I've seen people that you be like, yo, when they be like, I married my best friend, they're serious, because you have to be able to have a friendship in your relationship. It can't just be that's just my spouse. So I love when people say there are some great high points to marriage, because you have a life survival partner that you can rock this thing out with. It's like having a bestie that you can consummate with. It's the coolest thing ever. But there are some times when you can marry somebody and you like, yo, we the East and West Coast. I don't like you, you don't like me. It's so you have to make sure you're in the right season with the right person for the right reason, and you'll make it work.
Absolutely. So
That's
Chris,
like the chorus to a song.
what are we talking about next week?
So since this week we told you why you get married, next week we're talking about why you get divorced. This week we talked about what makes it marriage material, but I will be honest with you, there is a conversation we don't like to talk about, and that is, when is it time to let go? Divorce is not necessarily failure. It is coming to an understanding that this might not have been good for you to be into. And many times we grew up in a community that tells us divorce is bad, wrong, it's a sin, you're going to hell, all these different things. But there are a lot of people that we know now who are not ready to get married and are not marriage material because they were raised by two people who did not know when it was time to let go. And you have raised these children in unhealthy hell holes. You have to make sure that you understand when it is time to say, you know what? That's a wrap. And be okay with that. And that's not the end. Life continues, life goes on. You can still co-parent and coexist and be cordial. That's 3 C's you can use with that one: co-parent, coexist, and cordial, and keep life going. But we don't talk about that enough because we've been told, no. Forgive 7 times 77. No. Stay. No. Till death do you part. Death gonna do some of y'all part too early because your ass don't know how to let go. Make sure you understand when the end comes.
Yeah, man. Sometimes you got to know when to say when.
On that one.
So this was a phenomenal conversation, man. I really appreciate all the dialogue, all the commentary. Jonathan, as always, it was a pleasure. Make sure you catch this podcast on, when is it? Wednesdays
around the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock time. You know, I'm black.
Jonathan, can you tell them what your shirt say? Because I've been laughing in my head the whole day.
Unless God sends you
entanglement.
And don't come over here. Don't come over here with foolishness. I don't have time. My daddy was a detective. I'm not going to be on Dateline. I'm not going to be on Cold Case File. Don't. My shoulder is healed. I'm going to the gun range next weekend. Don't come over here with foolishness.
God says you is an entanglement.
It's in. I'm not trying to. God, keep me protected.
Hey Rod, we appreciate you, bro. We're gonna be on the lookout for the next series of books you have. And I know you're over there in Germany, so we're gonna go ahead and let you get some sleep, man. I know it's like what 1, 2 in the morning over there, something like that.
Yeah,
Guten Tag.
2:41.
Boy, don't you let us mess up
Yeah.
your marriage. You better get off this thing.
Yeah, going over there.
I'm a
And
9 hour here. This one I write.
right. And Ebony, my sister from another mister. I miss you, love you. Come back to South
Love you
Carolina
too.
soon. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
All right.
guys.
So for the audience,
right,
man, we
guys.
appreciate you, and we'll see you
All
guys
right, I
next week.
appreciate you,
Holla.
bro.
Bye.
All right, appreciate y'all.
Good
Bye.
night,
This
y'all.
was the Hook Podcast. See you next week.